how do you guys measure discipline? Because it's another thing that I've been thinking about the last couple of days, since my last video, and to me, it's an interesting topic. I think, and I don't think there's just going to be I don't think everyone has the same answer. That's my kind of feelings towards the talk of pressure and the talk of discipline. I don't think everyone really has that same conversation about it. I almost wonder if there are people out there who maybe say, "Oh, pressure's a privilege. It's a privilege to have pressure. It's a privilege to feel disciplined, to get up every day with a common goal and a common plan." But I'm just not sure if I will always see discipline as that. And I'm not really sure if discipline is always overcoming adversity either. I'm not sure if it's a real, not discipline's not real. Of course, that's also not what I'm trying to say. There is obviously discipline in the world. There is discipline. It's a real thing. It's a real matter. It's a real thing in the world. It's I think I'm more curious about if you who's watching this feel the discipline is purely just eating healthy and going to the gym and reading, right? Like just things that you would do to keep the mind going, that isn't endlessly scrolling social media, that isn't endlessly playing video games, that isn't endlessly, I don't know, just whatever we do to consider brain rot these days. The opposite of that, is that just considered discipline now? Is that kind of the bar that is set for being disciplined and being organised and feeling that pressure to enjoy? I kind of look at one of the greatest athletes of all time, LeBron James, saying that you never get used to pressure. It's not something. It perhaps may be a privilege. It perhaps may be something that you can overcome, but you never get used to it. And I think that's an interesting take on it. To be honest, he's not the brightest tool in the shed, but he's got some knowledge on pressure, I think. And I think that's an interesting way of looking at pressure for me personally. You know, you think about having to jump out of bed every morning to get to work, or you think about having to still go for some form of exercise, still having to eat healthy, even if you're feeling extremely tired after a long day. These things could be classed as discipline as well, I think. And to me, it's I don't think you just go from 0 to 100 either. I don't think the human body is capable of that. I don't think you can just wake up one day and decide that I am now going to be super disciplined. I'm going to treat my body harshly. I'm not gonna reward myself for a good day with, I don't know, like a takeaway, or something that would reward yourself. I don't think you can go from 0 to 100 when it comes to pressure and discipline. I think you do have to almost in a way build a tolerance in that respect, and I think you do need to kind of have a bit of a stumbling block at times to really build up what you're coming at and what you're coming for. Um, and and as I say, I don't think everyone thinks the same as me. I think everyone has a completely different opinion on what discipline and pressure looks like. And it's just an interesting conversation to me. It's something that I am really curious on in terms of how other people see it, because if nobody sees it the same way, if everyone sees it differently, does that mean that everyone would treat discipline differently to a point where, I mean, if you look at me and my partner, for example, um, she obviously has different views on discipline and pressure and just getting things done as to what I do, obviously, because we're not going to have the same opinion on that. We're not going to fall on the same fence on these topics. Um, but should she look at me differently when I'm not feeling so disciplined, when I'm not feeling like I want to, you know, take on the privilege of pressure? And should I maybe look at her differently if she's having a bad day, if she's not wanting to face the world as such? Should we look at each other differently that way? Should we judge each other just because we have different views on just getting up and getting things done over, you know, today's just a bad day, I'll try again tomorrow? Um, should we be so judgmental to each other for that? And I'm just really curious of how you guys feel in that regard for thinking along those lines as well. Um, And I guess it could be a big topic this summer as well. Obviously, we have the World Cup coming up. I mean, in fact, the day I record this, first game is tomorrow. So it is going to be a topic of conversation, pressure and discipline. Kind of, where's your bottle, where's your mentality kind of thing as well. And I do kind of want to touch on mentality a little bit today as well, because I think it falls in line with discipline in terms of, maybe you are having a pretty bad day, say mentally or physically. Of course, there's only so much that a human body can take before it really needs to recover. And even if it was a recovery run or a recovery gym session, sometimes that's just too much for you, and you really need to give your body a proper rest day. But does that mean that you're not mentally tough anymore because you've had to take a day off? Does that drop, discipline points because you've had to take a day off because your body needs it? I mean, your body's crying for recovery rather than just pushing through like a 5K or pushing through a legs session rather than, shoulders and then buys and tries, right? I'm always wondering if we have to reshape how we look at mentality, discipline, pressure, but not only in ourselves, in other people as well. Obviously, you're like myself, right? You guys are going to watch YouTube, you guys are going to be on Instagram a lot of the time. You're going to see all these like fitness influencers who are claiming to you that, we're going to the gym every single day, we're doing runs every single day. Mentally, I'm not always there, but I push myself through it because I know it makes me feel better, etc. And you probably, sit there or you lay there in bed on your phone, kind of thinking to yourself, "Oh, I could definitely do this. Like, I could do it myself. If this person can do it, and look great and have all the most expensive gear on and do it, I can definitely do it as well." We obviously all get very consumed into kind of social media trends, which is probably another topic that I'll save for another time. But I think we have to take a step back a lot more going forward and just kind of reevaluate what pressure looks like, what discipline looks like, and what mentality looks like for you. Because yeah, it is going to look different for everybody, and as I already mentioned, everyone's going to have a different opinion on it. But if you're looking at fitness influencers, you're looking at running TikToks, you're watching all this stuff, you're probably thinking to yourself that I could definitely throw in my hawkers and go for a nice 5K here and then just make that my life. I think we need to step back and decide, these are fun, these are exciting first thoughts, of course. Like, the thought of doing it is always exciting. The thought of doing it, the thought of getting ready for it is always is always huge. It gets the adrenaline going a lot as well when you're thinking about going for a run. And then your body mostly feels better after a run. That is something that I've experienced being on some runs myself. You definitely feel better after going a run. But I think one thing that needs to be remembered, especially for mentality again and for pressure again, is that you just can't give yourself a hard time if you don't go for that run today, or you don't go to the gym today, you don't eat healthy today, you don't stick to your calories today. We all give ourselves such a hard time for it because of, social media, or if we have maybe a PT and you think you're just going to disappoint them because you're not meeting your goals there or your targets. And if you have a partner, you might think you're disappointing them because you've kind of broken out of a streak that you had, a couple of days or weeks where you were eating healthy and getting things done, and then you break that streak just one day of having a bad day. I think we just can't give ourselves so much added pressure by thinking that we need to make up for this again in the future. I think we just have to take it at face value a lot of the time and say, I've had a bad day today, but that ain't going to happen tomorrow. Instead of thinking, I need to make up for it tomorrow, because that's not what your body needs. Your body's not going to adjust to that. That's not going to help your body by having a bad day and then all of a sudden you're having like twice the day, tomorrow, because you're trying to make up for a bad day. It's not good for your body. And to kind of wrap this up a little bit here, because I have again been rambling on for a bit too much. I'm really curious how you guys consider pressure, how you guys see pressure as well, and see discipline and see mentality, because it's been something I've thought about for the last 2 days, and I'm really curious on what you guys think of it as well. thank you for watching this far if you did, of course. I will definitely be back again because my mind just keeps fucking going and I just want to keep talking about shit. But thank you for watching this video, of course. Please do check out the Heart and Hand Patreon. Our World Cup previews have all dropped now, part 1, 2 and 3. It's just the predictions to be dropped as well. We had a ton of fun doing that, of course, and recording it all, doing the research for it. Very soon, of course, as I say, even tomorrow as I'm recording this, the World Cup does start. So I hope to see all you there at 8 p.m. sharp for our opening game, Mexico, South Africa. Don't know where that came from. I'm hoping to see you guys there at 8 o'clock, of course, and we will be breaking down World Cup games going forward, almost like a World Cup daily show in that regard there. So thank you guys for watching this so far for me, and I will talk to you again soon. Thank you.